Welcome. You are listening to Rev Up with Alanis Marketing, and I'm your host, Roxanne Alanis. Welcome to Rev Up. I'm so excited at our next guest. We're going to be talking about tips and some great ways to increase your revenue. I am here with Marshall Doyle. He is the CEO of the largest independent provider of calibration services, servicing the construction materials industry in the U.S. And under his leadership, Marshall has grown the company by nearly 2,000%, which is almost double, if not more, every year. And I think, Marshall, you even said it's even more than that. So very excited to talk about that. And over the last 15 years, you have been running, in addition to running one of the largest calibration companies in the U.S., global calibration companies, you've also been acquiring and merging businesses and helping a few others launch their business. And you do this through building revenue, increasing profits, developing teams, all with little or no time by the owner. And I think This is what we're going to want to talk about today in Rev Up.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And thank you for being with us. And I'm excited for you to share, how do you do that as a business owner? How can they have more profits and work less?
Well, thanks for having me, Roxanne. I always enjoy spending time with you. You're such a dynamic person.
Thank you.
And I really enjoy time with you. Running a business is, something that I'm very passionate about, running businesses. I actually have 8 running businesses right now. In addition to the calibration business, I have 7 other businesses. And so lots of different avenues. But I really believe there's 2 functions in a business that are necessary to be successful. One is the brain side. That's like managing the finances. And as you mentioned, I'm kind of a little bit of a crazy man when it comes to finances and how the P&Ls and the balance sheets speak to me.
Right.
And I know you as a marketer, you understand that value in there, and you can see how when you have your formulas right with marketing and your acquisition cost of customer and all that stuff, that it really does lock in. And, so many people don't understand that. So many business owners don't understand that, or maybe they're doing their own bookkeeping, or they don't have, someone guiding them on the financial part of it.
Mm-hmm.
For years, I was like bootstrapping everything. I bootstrapped my sales, my marketing, everything. I did my own janitorial. I did all kinds of stuff because I had this mindset that, the more money I save, the more money I have. And that's just completely opposite. If you have the formula, what's working, you have the data that backs that up, then doing things like marketing is a good investment. You have to, invest in that. And so once I started doing that, we really started growing like crazy. And part of our marketing was acquisition. And I used acquisition actually as a marketing strategy.
Oh, interesting.
And I used the same kind of marketing budget mindset to decide on acquisitions in order to acquire those customers that those previous companies had at a cost that made sense, that I knew I could make money from. And so in a sense, I'm a little bit of a marketer like you, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's through acquisition is what I've learned. And so that's, that data side of accounting and how you invest in things to get ROI is a big part of it. The other side is the heart side, and that's the team side. That's the side that, although it's most challenging, I think, because there's so many moving parts and it's just softer side. It's also the most rewarding side, because if you take the mindset that you can help people, I can't remember who it was that said, if you help 1 billion people, you make $1 billion. Somebody said that famous, so you might know, but I think that's really true. And so I've always been a go-giver. I've always been out there making sure that I take care of anybody that I encounter, from the clerk at the grocery store to, our team at CalCert. We have a team of over 100 employees in several different companies. And so taking care of the people, and it's getting harder these days to do that. It's getting harder to understand what they want. and how you can get them what they want. Um, and so I think that's a bit of a formula, I guess I would say.
Well,
I think
it's
the
a
third
key. Yeah, go ahead. The third, because
well,
there.
the third piece I think is partnering with the right people. Oftentimes, the solution isn't you; it isn't the steps you're taking. It's who you meet. It's who you engage with. It's hiring great marketers, great bookkeepers and accountants, business coaches, people that know what you've done, or what you want to do, and they've already done it. Really makes a big difference. That's why I'm such a firm believer in marketing. um, Marketing to me is so powerful, because there's that science side,
Mhm.
and then there's the soft side. And I've been a study of psychology my whole life, and I'm an electronics guy, so it's just a weird mix for me. um, but That's why I just love the business of business,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I love
I
helping
love
people.
this idea of growing through acquisition, and it's certainly uh, it's an exciting idea to help make grow your company bigger. But that doesn't work if you don't have a few other things in place. So that there were some other elements that you implemented before you could even do that, because I can't even imagine if I bought another marketing company right now to buy. I almost feel like I would
Mhm.
just be working twice as many hours, doing what I'm doing,
Oh
you're doing.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
how do you connect, how do you merge that so that you're working
Well,
not any more hours?
so the business that I started in, which was calibration, is a very compliance-based business. And there's some standards. The standard we follow is called ISO 17025. It's an internationally recognized standard, and that standard um, essentially builds a roadmap of requirements on how to systemize the business of calibration. And so that's where I started. I had to do that because it was a requirement. And so that's where I learned. And we had so many robust processes and steps and everything in there. I was doing really well. And the business was doing well technically, but I didn't have those on the business side. I was winging it on the business side. I mean, I remember, employees coming to me and say, "Hey, Joe's wanting his machine calibrated. What should we charge?" And I was like, "Oh, let's charge this today." I just there was, and at some point I thought, "Gosh, I need a price list." And I mean, we were really small then, but the processes are a major difference in how you deliver what you do, because most businesses are started by technicians. Most businesses are somebody like yourself that knew marketing really well, and you're like, "Hey, I can go do marketing."
Right.
And then you get to the business side and you realize, oh, I got to do bookkeeping, I got to do human resources, I got to
Mhm.
do office design, or workflow design, or compensation plans, all this stuff that you got to do that you're not an expert at.
Right.
And so why try and learn it all? Just outsource the things that you need to outsource. Obviously you got to build revenue streams in order to do that a little bit
Mhm.
first. But learn as much as you can learn, and then realize the things that you do best, and start working from that day forward on moving yourself out of those boxes on your work chart that you don't belong in anymore.
Right.
Right. And so that's what I did. The fortunate thing is I'm good at a few things, but I'm really bad at a lot of things. Right. And so I had to figure out people that were good at those things and hire them to do those things. And so I think that's a big difference. Acquisition is something that I stumbled across. It's not like I had a pile of money anywhere or anything, but you know, I don't know if your viewers are interested in, the basic steps of acquisition. There's a lot there, but I think anybody that's got a mature business, that's got a good process, that's got the team built, and is
Right.
running well, and is profitable, should look at acquisition as a possible growth strategy.
It's interesting because it sounds like your aha moment was in the process, like that, understanding the process that you were handling in calibration, and then you applied that to the other areas of your business. And you
Mhm.
didn't have at that you don't have to be good at it. You just had to have a process and then have the right people in place.
Yeah, and I think what I was good at is understanding we needed the process. I wasn't necessarily good at putting it together, and so I hired people that were good at putting it together. And Teresa, who's one of our, she's a VP at one of the companies. She was really good at processes, and we used to joke, and like I would say it, and she'd do it. Sometimes even if I didn't want her to do it yet, so I was just thinking about it. So that's a big part of the success is, working with the people that can help you evolve and grow. We are growing at an amazing rate right now with all my companies, um, and it really is because of getting the people in the right place, having the right processes that are duplicatable.
Yep.
And I started out I read the book Michael Gerber, The E Myth,
Oh yeah.
back in 1998 or whatever. And I'm from Oregon. He happens to be from Oregon as well, and so we kind of hooked up with him a little bit. And I had a chance to meet him and read his book. And as we were growing, I made all my managers read that book because I'm like, this is the way I want to run this. We're going to build this so it's done, and then we're going to do 5,000 more of them. Not that we really were, but that was the mindset. So
well, it's amazing but powerful because it really works because you are proof that it works. You went from also working 10, 12-hour days to working, you were 2 hours a week on your businesses. I mean,
90 minutes.
90 minutes. And
90 minutes a week with each business.
That's incredible.
That's
so
what I work. Yep.
So,
and it's,
in businesses, you're working a few hours a week.
Yeah. So, and I started doing business coaching because, I needed to stay busy and I really enjoyed doing that. That's how we met. And so it's, as entrepreneurs, we work hard, right? We want to have some success. And so many business owners, I learned this a lot during the acquisition, but so many business owners, they just grind and grind and grind.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, gosh, one of these days I want to have enough leftover money to have some profit.
Right.
And so switching that to say, look, I'm in this for the ability to live the life that I want to live. I have, you see my sign back there? Do you see what it says? It says, wish it, dream it, do it. Right. So that's kind of one of my mottos. The other thing that I really enjoy is, is understanding that you have joy that you need to use as a measurable for your life.
Right.
And you have wealth. And everybody finds that differently. And so I'm so happy with my life right now. And I'm so happy to meet people like you and get a chance to sit on what do you call this, a podcast? Is that what this is?
Podcast, that's right.
Gray beard there, right? Podcast. I mean, I know it's out there, but it's to me, it's if you get it right, if you get the formula right, and you treat people right, and you help people, and you have a viable product or service, that people need,
right?
You can be successful in your life, and you can help a lot of people, and that's really
inspiring.
What I've spent my time doing is helping people, and now I get to sit here in my home office and work mostly what schedule I want to work. Not completely, but mostly.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, this has been exciting. So essentially, we kind of sum up on Rev Up. We like to have some tips that people can walk away with and start doing right after they listen to this show. So I would say, if you can help me with this, like what would number one thing be? Would be process.
I think number one is take a look at your business, and I'll do this from an acquisition mindset. Take a look at your business like you're going to buy your business from you.
Okay.
And look at it and go, as the buyer of this business, what would I fix?
Huh?
And start fixing it now. And that's going to be processes. It's going to be making sure your people are really locked in and they understand what their roles and responsibilities are. It's going to make sure your financial records are strong and clean and tell the true story of what's happening, and what's moving on there. and of course you're living up to your to your vision and your core values. And just look at that and start writing down the areas that aren't where you want them to be, and work on a strategy to start putting those steps together. You can't do them all at once. Pick one or two areas and get those solved. And when they're done, check them off the list. Then pick one or two more, get them solved, and run off the list. If you have a team, go to your team and say, what's need to be fixed here? Let's make a list of what needs to be fixed. And you know what? Your team's going to help you. They're going to do more than you probably realize.
I love that.
And let them do it.
Yep.
Let them do it. I mean, you've done that with your team, Roxanne. I mean, your team's, you got a rock star team behind you. I mean, not that you're not a rock star, you definitely are. but you've got a rock star team behind you. That's why you've been so successful.
Right.
And so I think it's amazing.
Great.
Anyway, are those good enough tips?
Pardon me?
Are those good tips?
Those are great tips.
Okay.
I love it. That's fantastic. Get started on it right away. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been a great Rev Up. Really appreciate it, Marshall. You've been listening to Rev Up. I'm your host, Roxanne Alanis. To listen to other episodes and learn more about our guests and to rev up your revenue, visit revuppodcast.com.